welcome. We are convened as the Provo City School District Board of Education. Today is Tuesday, May 10th, 2022. We're meeting at Centennial Middle School at 305 East, 2320 North in Provo, Utah, and the time is currently 7:02 p.m. We will begin with a roll call, and we'll start with Derek Anderson.
Derek Anderson, Business Administrator.
Gina Hale, Board Member.
Jennifer Partridge, Board Member.
Rebecca Nielsen, Board Vice President.
Melanie Hall, Board President.
Keith Patel, Superintendent.
Perry McCabe, Board Member.
Nate Bryson, Board Member.
And we'll excuse Board Member Jensen this evening. All right, is there a motion to convene?
I move we convene the business meeting.
All right, our business meeting is now open. Our opening remarks will be by Member Jennifer Partridge.
Thank you. As I was thinking about what to say tonight, I wanted to come up with some inspirational educational quote. And what came to my mind was something from one of my favorite songs when I was 8 years old. And I would dance in the basement and sing along to it. And Whitney Houston, I believe that children are the future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty that they possess inside. And tonight, as we have the opportunity to honor so many teachers, support staff, counselors, amazing people in our district, I want to thank you for being those people that are teaching our children. You're loving them, letting them lead, and showing them all the good that they have inside of them and inspiring them to the greatness inside of them. And I haven't been in all of your classrooms, but I know from the ones I have been in, the quality of teaching, not only that you do, but especially that you lead with love, you lead with concern, you care about those individual children in your classrooms. And on behalf of the whole board, I want to thank you for that, and thank you to all of our staff, all of our teachers throughout the district for all that you do. Why we are here is for our students, and I know that that's why you are here as well, and we thank you for that. And then I would like to also just open our meeting with a word of prayer. Our dear Heavenly Father, we are so grateful that we can be here tonight as a school board and as teachers and staff and community members. We are grateful for all the work that is being done in our schools, for the students that we have been given, and help us as we make decisions, that we may do things that will bless our students and those who are taking care of them. And we are grateful that we can be here tonight, and we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Board Member Partridge. Next, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance, and that will be led by Chad Duncan, our Director of Technology.
Will the audience please rise? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
So this evening, the reason why we're meeting here at the middle school is so we can accommodate so many people, because we want to be able to recognize each and every one of you for the outstanding work that you've done for our district. We truly appreciate all the hard work that you've done over this year and the past few years. So we truly appreciate that. So I'm going to turn the time over to our HR Director, Jason Cox, and we'll go to that point of the meeting.
Good evening, School Board. Thank you for this opportunity. We love this part of the program each month where we get to recognize people and celebrate them for the good work that they do. We're going to have each of our association presidents work through with us the announcement of the recognitions for Teachers of the Year, then Classified Employees of the Year. We have counselors, and we even have a few other awards down below this, so we're excited about the opportunity we have tonight to recognize these people. We would like to just mention For all the people at home who may be watching and weren't able to attend tonight, if you stay between the aisles when we ask you to come up and join us, they'll be able to see you from home. So just kind of help us with that. And I'll turn the time over to Glenn.
Good evening, everybody. I'm excited to be here. This is a really kind of neat experience. So to collect all the information packets from all the people that are part of the Teacher of the Year award that we're looking at considering for district needs here. I worked at Dixon Middle School for about 25 years. I'm the PEA Vice President over secondary school, and it was kind of really a great thing to kind of get to know all of you through your packets. So we're going to do something a little different this year. We decided to create a video with everybody in their classroom. I'm sure the teachers are excited for that. And David, and feeling you guys, I'm not going to confirm or deny whether it's because I pushed everybody's name last year, but now I have to say everything, so I'm excited for that. So we're going to go ahead and watch the video, and then as soon as we're done with the video, we'd like you guys to come up here and stand up here, and we'll have your awards, and then we'll announce the district's winner of the Teacher of the Year. Okay, so I'll turn them over to the video.
Adult Ed, Gina Aguirre. Gina has demonstrated the ability to inspire students to become better learners. Her students see her as their friend and mentor, guiding them through their language acquisition. She has great empathy for her students, as she has been in their shoes. Alternative programs, Yvonne Stinson. Yvonne has demonstrated a level of technical awareness and competency that is exemplary. Yvonne's enthusiasm for teaching and serving incarcerated youth has been notable at both local and state level. Amelia Earhart, Rochelle Holtz. Rochelle is a dedicated special education teacher who cares deeply about her students. She works hard to create a safe and successful learning environment, builds relationships with her kids, and is a strong advocate for them. Canyon Crest, Jennifer Hildenbrand. Jennifer is an outstanding teacher who truly cares about all students at Canyon Crest. Jennifer has a wealth of knowledge and ensures that each of her students are successful in their learning and plans activities and lessons that are engaging and interesting. Centennial Middle School, Megan Sagru. Megan is always smiling. Even when she's having a tough day, she doesn't let that affect her in a negative way. She loves teaching. She loves her students. She strives every day to be her best self and to make everyone around her better, and she succeeds. Dixon Middle School, Zoe Holly. Zoe is an exceptional teacher working to establish relationships with her students. She strives to support students and their individual capabilities. She cares about her students and other educators. East Bay Post High, Julia Cacciatore. Julia is dedicated to helping her students reach their full potential. She is willing to take her students from where they are functioning to fulfilling their utmost potential. She will do what is to be done to help her students. Edgemont, Patricia Blanton. Patricia is always positive and a problem solver who is willing to help in every area of the school. She is always professional and has an excellent relationship with all faculty, parents, and students at Edgemont. Franklin, Marie Baird. Marie is self-motivated, takes pride in her work, and is always proactive, looking for ways to improve. She understands the time and effort that is needed to be successful and will do whatever it takes to help those around her have that same success. Independence, Cherie Lewis. Students feel at home in Cherie's classroom. Words cannot begin to describe what a huge heart Cherie has. She is caring, selfless, and is always ready to go above and beyond to help in any way she can. Lakeview, Lori Sarkady. Lori is a master teacher who has creative strategies to teach and is always eager to learn new things to help her students. Lori is willing to make time for others, to help or just listen. Provo High, Deanna Coates. Deanna is an expert in her field. Not many people can manage the complexities and expertise that her position requires. In addition to her kindness and compassion, she has a wealth of knowledge and experience that guides all of Provo High School. Provo Peaks, Katie Hilton. Katie is amazing with her students, demonstrating unconditional love for them and building a safe, creative learning environment. She adapts instruction to students' learning styles and needs throughout the day in order to help them be successful. Provost, Rebecca Larson. Rebecca has strong classroom management skills that come across in a loving and caring way to her students. When teaching, she thinks of the needs of every student and plans out what will help each individual. Rock Canyon, Karen Murray. Karen is an outstanding professional. The classroom climate and environment are very warm and inviting to all students. Karen is a real credit to the profession and a model teacher. Spring Creek, Jackie McDermott. Jackie works with some of our most at-risk students. In doing so, she collaborates with many of her colleagues to develop and implement student success plans. She puts in the extra time and effort to meet students' needs in innovative ways. Sunrise Preschool, Alyssa Bainbridge. Alyssa shows enthusiasm for teaching and learning, is positive and supportive with her students, and goes the extra mile in making connections with parents and families. She is always professional and gives her all in her role supporting students and teachers. Sunset View, Carissa Bybee. Carissa is an amazing teacher and colleague. Her positive attitude and love for her students is felt when you enter her classroom. She knows each of her students' strengths and she builds on them. So when things get hard, they know they can find success. Timpanogos, Teresa Tovar. Teresa creates lasting relationships with all her students and shows them how much she cares about them individually. She has high expectations for all her students and yet encourages them to always be the best version of themselves. Timpview High, Terry Brown. Terry genuinely cares about his students and their success. He has experience supporting some of the most vulnerable at-risk students. He supports them by providing each student with a safe space and empowering them to be successful through reaching academic and personal goals. Wasatch, Laurie Porter. Laurie is extremely dedicated to serving her students. She knows each and every child in her classroom and strives to meet their individual academic, emotional, and social learning needs. She has been a huge blessing in the lives of hundreds of students. Westridge, Jennifer Frame. Jenny is a teacher that will do anything to see her students succeed. She is warm and loving and has a calm presence that appeals to her students. Jenny creates engaging lessons that help move her students forward academically and continually looks for ways to support her students.
So that was really kind of cool. It felt like you were clapping for me. But so we got all the people that won come on up and then just line up and we'll try and hand these out as quickly as we can. Maybe tell us your names will be faster. Remember to stay between these areas there, and then I'll announce the winner of the district each of the years. You guys come up, that'd be great. Okay, that was a little bit larger than I thought. That's awesome. We had a chance this year. It was really cool to see some people that we haven't recognized, some schools we hadn't recognized before, and so it was really awesome to kind of do that this year. And it's really kind of fun for me to do this stuff because I get to do cool things like I got to design the plaque and I got to pick the colors that I want on the plaque. So I thought, hey, I'll pick the school colors as best I can. And the winner of this year, District Teacher of the Year, is Dina Coates.
all for coming out. It means a lot for our ESP group to know that all of our work that we do for the district is recognized and stuff. So we're going to watch the video, and after that, we'll do the same thing where you guys will come up, all the winners, and we'll say that.
Employees of the Year at Provo City School District. Brianna Huntsaker Martinez, art teacher at Spring Creek Elementary. Not only does she teach students to appreciate and create amazing pieces of art, she helps them believe in themselves. Brianna treats each student with respect while holding them accountable for their actions. Wendy Hernandez, health clerk at Spring Creek. Wendy is an incredible team player who works very hard to jump in to help at a moment of need. She is kind and funny, and everyone that steps into our office feels welcomed while she works really hard to answer their questions. Anna Geary, instructional assistant at Independence. The students in the computer lab are lucky to be the recipients of the help and encouragement Anna provides. She keeps track of students' progress and has been instrumental in helping them fulfill their graduation requirements. Karen Yule, child nutrition at Canyon Crest. If one word could be used to describe Karen, it's dependable. In addition to being very good at her job, she's always friendly and helps to create a happy, safe environment wherever she goes. Milagros Perry, instructional assistant at Centennial Middle School. EL students are lucky to have Millie as a resource to help them navigate through their classes. She is resourceful and willing to go above and beyond. She is an incredible asset to Centennial. Cher Flagg, job coach at East Bay Post High. Cher is fully invested in the success of the school and the program. She knows what needs to be done and quietly does it. If she sees a gap or need, she steps in, and she is truly an advocate for the students. Candy Jackson, secretary at Lakeview Elementary. Candy is the smiling face who greets everyone who enters Lakeview. Her calm demeanor and friendly personality instantly puts students, parents, and staff at ease. Lakeview relies on her to make sure the school is running smoothly. Jamie Olton, secretary at Amelia Earhart Elementary. Jamie always welcomes parents, students, and volunteers in a calm and patient way. She is fantastic at being helpful and going out of her way to make sure that the needs of the patrons are met. Laura Castillo, CTE at Provo High. Laura has come up with so many amazing, innovative ways to help Provo High students. Instead of getting overwhelmed with everything that has to be done, she just says, "We got this," and then gets to work. Lana Naylor, librarian at Canyon Crest. Lana is the mark of what all librarians are measured by. Her lessons take students to another level where they are engaged in meaningful and memorable activities that carry with them past their time in the library. Bo Bogdan, custodian at Sunset View. Bo is always happy and upbeat. He makes everyone's day more enjoyable, and his jokes are fantastic. He's very generous and willing to help others, making it a pleasure and an honor to work with him. Carolyn Davis, custodian at Provo High. Even with the workload and lack of employees, Carolyn is considerate and able to get things done. She is caring and goes above and beyond the call of duty to make sure Provo High is taken care of. Janine Kay, health clerk at Provost. Janine's compassion for others is what allows her to be so valuable at Provost, and students always feel cared for. Her positive demeanor and outlook on life make working with her a joy and privilege. Kincaid Brickey, District Tech. Kincaid is always willing to expand his knowledge. He is personable and professional in communicating his knowledge. He is committed to the success of teachers, staff, and students in our district. Tricia Saunders, child nutrition at Provo Peaks and Westridge. Tricia wholeheartedly stepped in to manage the kitchen at Westridge, in addition to her kitchen at Provo Peaks. Tricia has really gone above and beyond to diligently manage both of these kitchens. And Connie Grange, District Maintenance. Connie Grange is an amazing coworker. She goes out of her way to make sure that things are set up correctly so that the work at the district can move forward without interruption. She is always willing to help everyone and has the funniest, contagious laugh.
if we can have all the winners come up now, and we'll give you your certificate. All right, if we can give all these employees another round of applause.
Good evening, I'm Doug Finch. I'm Assistant Superintendent in the Student Family Services Department. We have the opportunity also to recognize some people who are really critical to the well-being as well as the guidance for our students in our schools. And that is to recognize our outstanding counselor and counseling support staff of the year. So we'll watch their video this time.
Presenting our school counselor and our school counseling support staff of the year. School Counseling Support Staff of the Year, Shari Brown, Independence High Registrar. Shari is invaluable to Independence. She has been a true blue Lionheart for the past 19 years. She is thorough, kind, committed, and loves the students at Independence High. She knows all the students' names and is impeccable at keeping track of credit and graduation progress. Shari's smiling face is always a welcome sight at Independence. School Counselor of the Year, Nate Warner from Tentview High School. On any given day, Nate Warner is one of the first faculty on site, ready to work, many times even before 7 a.m. As a Provo City School District educator for over 31 years, Nate always strives for ways he can improve his practice. Mr. Warner devotes much of his time to serving English learners, transitioning to a new country, new school, while learning a new language. The awareness Mr. Warner displays in fulfilling each of his responsibilities and caring for each of his students exhibits his continued dedication from year to year.
One more round of applause for them. Thank you.
Next, we're going to have our PTA awards. I'm going to read these off. All right. We had Juliana Rocca from Lakeview Elementary, Luz Vasquez from Canyon Crest, Michelle Wages from Franklin, Christine Elgayan from Provost, Allison Friedman from Tentview, Renee Dietrich from Canyon Crest, Tyler Steele from Spring Creek, Cassidy Steele from Spring Creek, Cheryl Bickman from Centennial Middle School, Emily Johnson from Lakeview, Michelle Hutchins from Canyon Crest, Ariella Villa from Canyon Crest, Lisa Hart from Tentview High School, Heidi Wilkie from Rock Canyon, Malaya Vaughn from Edgemont, Jamie Martinson from Provost, Danny Holagum from Edgemont, Kirby Cook from Spring Creek, Jill Shakespeare from Edgemont, Donna Hybrid from Lakeview, Lisa Young from Lakeview, Kristen Palmer from Lakeview, Amy Despain from Prevost, Lisa Boyce from Tintu High School, Pamela Blake from Tintu High School, and Crystal Johnson from Spring Creek. We appreciate all of these PTA nominees and all the hard work that they do to help run our parent-teacher associations. So let's give them a round of applause. So we've come to the end of our recognition portion of our meeting. We will then be going into our public input. If you would like to speak to the board, up front in front of me on my left is this form that we'd like to ask you to fill out. And if you would like to, once you filled it out, if you would hand it to Bonnie, she's waving her hand here up at the front. And then we would be happy to call you up. You'll get 3 minutes to speak to the board if you would like to.
As you're exiting, just those of you who joined us, we want to say thank you for doing that. We also do have a couple more recognitions there a little later in the program. We're going to be recognizing teachers who have earned an award from high poverty schools, their performance. And so that part will be coming, it's listed below as A. So we just want to make sure those of you that are here for that portion, don't be concerned. We are going to get to it. We just haven't quite got there yet. Again, we want to thank family members and friends and those employees who did attend tonight for the recognition this evening.
All right, if Lynn Thompson would like to come to the microphone.
First of all, I want to tell you that you're not going to have to see me every time I come. I'm Lynn Tromley, and I'm representing parents in Provo. And this has been a real treat for me because this is where I spent a huge amount of time in this school. So it was from where you guys are sitting is, I spent a lot of time up there too, so thank you. I'm just going to very, very quickly, a couple of things that some parents, again, were concerned with. One of the things that they asked and that we thought about developing a discussion forum that would include parents, school board members, and administrators. If something like that could be formed for the future, so there's a dialogue between everybody. The other concern was the permission slips for non-mandated tests and surveys. And some of these things are being slid into the classroom with just individual teachers and almost like a diagnosis sometimes with things that are said to some of the students. And I know of some of these students personally. And then the last remark that I would like to just bring up is that
if, I know that parents are not aware of state law and statutes, codes that are listed, and so I'm just asking that maybe teachers have that same obligation to learn law so that they understand when they're overstepping their bounds and understand the repercussions of those actions should they be found out. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. We appreciate you coming. So, is there anyone else that would like to? We'll wait. All right, Nadine Sunblom.
Sunbloom, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm Nadine Sunbloom. I live in Provo Bay neighborhood, so my all of my kids are elementary age right now, and I will be having students at Dixon and then eventually at Shoreline. And we have tennis players in our family. So my comments about the tennis courts. I was here earlier for the session. I heard that discussion. I just wanted to add a couple of items of consideration. And I do have some questions that have been raised that I'll need to look into, and I probably will send an email later, but I figured I could at least give a face to my name. So the way it works right now is the elementary teams practice later. So, you know, parents pick the kids up from school, you know, time to get a snack, get to practice. But the middle school kids practice right after school. I'm in the process of actually getting my teacher's licensing, so I'll be working at an elementary school, and I wouldn't be in a position where I could go pick up my children from the middle school, drive them to courts that aren't walking distance, you know, as I'm teaching classrooms. So does that make sense? So the kids, they're already at the school, and then they can just like change in the locker rooms and go to practice. I know the issue of equity was mentioned. I don't know where, it was mentioned earlier, Scott Henderson, I think he said that there would be tennis courts constructed someplace near Shoreline. Does anyone know if that's going to be someplace walking distance from the middle school, or if it's further away? Because my primary concern is safety and making sure the kids can get from the middle school to their practices. And I recognize that they're not official school-sponsored athletics, but they are, you know, community events that when we have relied on Dixon's courts thus far. So, yeah, again, I can reach out, but I'm Nadine Sunblum. I'm a parent and a tennis mom. These courts matter to me, so thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the board? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close our public input portion, and we're going to move on. We're going to kind of go through some things kind of in different order. So we're going to first approve the ETHPS funding. So I'm going to turn the time. I'm going to have Jason Cox, if he'll speak a little bit to that first.
Yes, this portion of this item is twofold. We have some recognitions for people here in the audience who qualified for this. Along with it comes a funding amount. It's a pretty substantial funding amount that the teachers have earned by being able to do this hard work. So hopefully that's made it worth their while to wait a little longer, you know, in the evening tonight with us. But with that, we also have to ask for board approval of the funding, because how that works is that the state contributes half of the funding for the award and the district approves the other part. So there's a budget approval piece with this. We do have a little recognition that we wanted to run with this. Is it all right if we go ahead and play that? Darren, go ahead for us.
One moment, sorry. can't find it. I'm sorry, Jason.
I apologize for springing it on you there, that's okay. So we will work on getting that. In the meantime, is there any other questions about this? I first want to just say, again, congratulations, but also thank you to these teachers for the hard work that they do. They work in schools that qualify for this to begin with. Not all schools qualify to receive this award. You have to work in a school that qualifies as a high poverty level school. The other part of this is that the teachers have helped their students make great advancements. So the way they qualify is where the students came in on their performance last year and how they helped them to improve over the course of the year and their testing at the end of the school year. So we want to, there's a lot of reasons to say thank you to them. And again, now that we've got the presentation, we'll go from there.
Is this it?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
All right. Again, you know what? This is what happens when you fill in for someone who couldn't make it last minute. If you want to add something,
Part of the whole reason is to retain excellent teachers in these high impact, high poverty schools. And so if a teacher maybe gains those growth scores and everything, but they are no longer at that school, they don't qualify for this award either. So it's to help retain these teachers, these great teachers at our schools.
absolutely. And could we just have those teachers go ahead and stand? We want to go ahead and recognize them here tonight and give them one more round of applause.
Thank you so much. You're going to go ahead and, is there somebody that would like to make a motion on this?
I move that we approve the affected teachers in high poverty schools funding.
So motion made by Board Member Partridge, is there a second? A second. Second by Board Member Hales. Is there any further discussion on this motion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor indicate with aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. All right, we were not able to finish our study session, so we're going to go back to letter P in our study session agenda and go from there. So I'm going to turn the time over to Derek Anderson about the proposed date for truth and taxation hearing.
Yeah, so right now, because we're planning on going through truth and taxation, we have to kind of set the dates for when these hearings will be. So right now, normally the process is we do the tentative budget in May, and then the final budget adoption in June. But because we're going through truth and taxation, we only have to do the tentative budget by June 22nd. And so what we've decided is to set the tentative budget adoptions and the final adoption for this year to the board meeting in June 14th, the second Tuesday in June. And then the final budget adoption for next year will actually be in August, and the date set for that is August 9th at Dixon Middle School. And so that coincides with the board meeting also. And so that's the plan for the truth and taxation hearing and then the final adoption. Those are the dates I've let the county know about, so they needed to get get it on their schedule. Is there any objections to the dates that have been chosen? Okay.
Okay. Sorry, other questions or comments? All right. Consent calendar, is there any questions about the consent calendar?
I do. Derek, on the executive summary, on the bottom of page 15, what is curriculum replacement? Yeah, 15, it's at the bottom, the very last thing. Or,
Sorry, quick clarification. You mean page 15 of the PDF? Or
Yeah.
is there a number of page 15?
on the PDF.
Okay.
It's the very last one, it says $1.5 million for curriculum replacement.
Oh, I see. All right, okay, thank you. So that's the textbook adoption budget that we currently have. So that's what that is.
Okay. And then also on page 15, Mark, can you please explain to me the reasoning behind why these items are on the capital improvement list and others are not? Because from what I understand, the discus rings at Provo High School need to be fixed. There also needs to be repairs at the Timothy shop class. The Provo shop class and down the hallway has cracks in the floors. How many faculty parking lots need to have better lighting besides Franklin? And numerous playgrounds need to be replaced. And from what I understand, the Franklin playground needs to be fixed for 6 years before I started complaining about it last year. And during spring break, I took the time to go and check out all the playgrounds. So at Canyon Crest, their north playground needs to be replaced. They need to remove the soccer goalposts in the field. The round picnic tables need to be replaced. At Spring Creek, the south playground needs to be replaced. At Westridge, the swing sets, the playground behind the portables, and the old jungle gym need to be replaced. The USA map needs to be repainted. The megaphone above the back door is making a weird noise, and the wood chips are very odd, the way they're arranged. At Amelia, the kindergarten playground needs to be replaced. At Lakeview, the southeast playground has graffiti on it, and the ropes need to be replaced. And the southwest playground needs to be cleaned. There's a weird soap scum on them. Timpanogos ropes need to be replaced. Handles in the southwest part of the playground are missing. And there doesn't seem to be a kindergarten playground for them. And City Sunrise is missing a playground. One thing I'm also surprised at is there's not enough buddy benches at every single school. Not all of them have buddy benches there. Because I'm looking at this list on page 15, and it seems like some of these have been on the list for quite a while. And some of the things need to be put on the list. So how do things get put on a list? When is this software that Derek suggested back in February, when is that going to start happening?
So there's a lot of questions there, Terry. I need the next hour to answer all those questions for you. One, I need to look at what you're looking at so I can respond, and I can get that writing to Derek so he can share that with the rest of the board, because there's a lot there that you just requested. Just a couple of things to be aware of. There's always a need somewhere, right? We've got an endless list in every campus. And the way we
Canyon Crest Playground, it's a disaster. That needed to be replaced years ago. You know, but there's some things that are a safety problem.
So,
that's why I complained over and over again about the kindergarten playground at Franklin. Every time we went over there, my son was getting injured. And other kids were getting injured.
So we follow a really extensive inspection process for all the playgrounds. And state risk
keeps us up to date with those, and we coordinate back with state risk as they inspect each campus on an ongoing basis. We have to approach certain things in a tier level of urgency. And over the past 10 years, we've replaced what has been the most urgent. And as we replace those systems, some of these others have caught up and are now ready to be addressed. And then we have to tier those as well, right? First, second, third tier type situation. We have, one advantage we have here in Provo School District is that we use capital money to replace playground equipment. That is not the case in most districts. Most schools in other districts have to prepare and run their own fundraisers to replace playground equipment. So we've done a good job replacing and keeping current playground equipment, and we know there's needs. It just takes some time because we have to weigh those options with other needs, whether it's mechanical, electrical, or whatever it may be. But I can look at this list, I'll get this list through Derek, and I can address those and get back to the board with a more comprehensive response.
Jed Easterbrook is expecting your phone call to fix the discussion at Provo High School.
Who's that?
Jed Easterbrook?
So Jed
He's your
Easterbrook.
supplier?
So Jed Easterbrook works for Field Turf, which is one of our approved vendors,
Yes.
right?
And he's expecting your phone call so you can fix those discus rings because they needed to be fixed.
So there's nothing wrong with the discus rings.
Terry,
And I can,
I'm just going to interrupt you. You're not allowed to direct Mark. You can let Keith know and then, or Derek, and then they can take care of that. But you can't direct Mark to do that.
Okay, then Derek, can you please audit the capital improvements budget for the last 10 years and find out how long it takes for an item to be fixed or replaced on the capital improvements list?
I can respond to that one easy,
I
Terry.
asked Derek.
So I'm going to respond to the entire board right now, including Derek. Derek, over the past decade, we have done more with the same amount of money that was done in decades previously in this school district, period. And I will gladly stand up to any audit that anybody would like to review, because we've made so many improvements in this district. I cannot begin to describe
And
to you how.
yet, we're still getting emails from teachers saying that things are not getting fixed.
And again, I'd have to see those requests, and I can respond to each one. And I have a lot of details about the disc locations at Provo High. There was nothing wrong with the disc location or design at Provo High, and again, I can respond to that.
Really?
Correct.
Because I'm a track and field official, and I know better.
Please send them my way, and I'm happy to respond.
Carrie, it sounds like maybe we could also have discussion as a board about our financial decisions, because to be able to address all of our needs, it's going to take more money, and so we could talk about how we could look into that.
Did you have more questions?
No, I'm done.
Okay, on to upcoming calendar items. So tomorrow evening is the Evening of Excellence, and that will be at the Rock Canyon Room at the Zion State Building at 5 p.m. On May 17th is the PTA Council meeting of presidents and principals. May 19th is Adult Education Graduation at 7 p.m. at Independence High School. And I believe McKay is speaking at that one. Timpview High School graduation is Saturday, May 21st at 10 a.m. at UVU. And then we've canceled our study session for May 24th. Provo High School graduation, Todd, I have a couple questions about these. Do we know when Provo High School is and where, and Independence times, places?
So it's Tuesday at 4 o'clock at Provo High School.
And what about Independence?
It's 7 o'clock that Thursday at Independence High School.
Okay, thank you. 4 p.m., and that's at Provo High School football field?
Yes, out on the field.
Okay. And 7 p.m. for Independence. Okay. All right, now let's go back to approving our land trust plans. Alex Judge, do you want to speak a little bit about our land trust plans?
Good evening, board, and thank you. We have given you the land trust plans to go for review and give us feedback. The schools have been given that feedback. Some of them we got back today. We will get that feedback and put it in and then send it off to the state, and then we'll do final approval in June.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the land trust plans.
Motion made by Board Member Nielsen. Is there a second?
I second that.
Second by Board Member Partridge. Is there any further discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor indicate with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to approve the large purchase request. Derek, would you mind speaking a little bit about that?
Yeah, so what you have before the board is a large purchase request for our technology department. And I apologize, I cannot remember exactly what it was, Chad. But the reason for it is it's, we normally would be for next year, but because of the constraints of supply chains, it would be cheaper and get more favorable rates to do it right now. So 2 schools, and I believe it's audio-visual equipment.
And it's for Spring Creek and Candy Crest's intercom and safety equipment. So they're pretty archaic and need replacement.
Okay, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the large purchase request discussed in study session and right now.
All right. Motion made by Board Member Bryson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Board Member Hales. Is there any further discussion on this motion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor indicate with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. All right, next we need to approve the consent calendar. Is there a motion?
I move we approve the consent calendar.
Motion made by Board Member Partridge. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Hales. Is there any further discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate with aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. All right, next we are going to have a board member report by Nate Bryson.
Okay, it feels kind of cool to do this to you guys because it just seems so late in here. I don't know if I get it. It seems really, really late to me. And they're going to put it up on the thing, and I'm going to wave, and that means go to the next slide. So, I've done this report. This is my 3rd year in a row. It doesn't get more interesting. It just gets more and more boring. And I debated whether or not I was going to do it this year, but because Derek's been giving us a lot of info that's been good, and things have just kind of been improving, and it's the exact same report, I think, as last year, but, you know, why not? And hopefully I can make it as exciting as the consent calendar that we've been going through. So let's go through this. Okay, before I get into it, I just want to bring up, because it's important, that our results are really good, especially when you take into account some of the special challenges that our students have. We have pretty good graduation rates. Our ACT scores are higher than average. One thing that really impressed me is I went through, and I kind of went through all the statistics I could find at the state. And one thing that was really impressive about our district, I know it's been brought up before, is how well we teach reading, especially given all the English language learners. I think at the high school level, I didn't include on this, we were the 2nd highest of the districts I compared. Very impressive. I'm very impressed with what we do as a district. And I use that as a context because in my report, what I looked at was I looked at 10 different districts that I thought were kind of similar, and the reason why they were similar is I would live in those areas, and I feel like maybe if someone who was living in Alpine, they could go to Depot and they wouldn't feel like it's a big thing. So I just put things that are on the Wasatch Front, kind of along I-15, and compared a bunch of schools. So let's go to the next slide. And the first thing I looked at is revenues, because those are important. And the taxes we pay here in Provo are about the same as our neighbors. And so, you know, if you are a citizen of Provo, you expect to pay about as much as a citizen of Springville or Orem, and it really stays within a narrow band, and it has for a long time. Okay, let's move forward. But, and this is kind of just where I stick to the city, Provo's tax rates are pretty high. They are the second highest of any city I can find in Utah County, and there's a lot of reasons for that. We're not going to get into it. But our citizens pay a decent amount for city services. We have a lot of parks, a lot of amenities, so it makes sense. So let's go to the next thing. But our district taxes are fairly low when you look at the other districts that I compared our schools to. And you know, this might change a little bit if we go through truth and taxation, but it's been pretty consistent. We are a little bit below average. What happens is when someone pays their property tax, a good portion of it goes to us. It goes to our district. So if we decide to make any changes in our district, it really impacts local taxes. So like, for example, if we decided to raise taxes $10 million to pay for something, we're going to have to take that directly from the pockets of our citizens, even though we only get about 33% of our money from the citizens. So they're going to see a tax increase of you know, like 20% if we tax like for $10 million. But really, it'd only be about 5% of our budget, 6% of our budget. So that means when we decide to go out and ask for taxes, it really creates an impact and a reaction from our citizens, the people who live in the city. And so that means we have to be a little bit sensitive when we go out and ask for taxes, which we will in a little bit. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, we already went through that. The second issue is teacher salaries. Now we spend out of our general fund about between 80 and 85% of our money goes towards salaries. And the biggest component of that is teacher salaries. And if you get really bored and decide to read my whole report, I go really deep into it, but we're just going to skim the tops. Okay, let's go there. So we spend the third highest amount on our students in of those districts. So we're a little bit before Salt Lake and Ogden, two relatively like us, small districts. There's a lot of reasons for that, but we spend a good amount. We are not cheap on spending for our students. Let's do the next. But we spend the second lowest, and really Alpine's fake because they have a different kind of salary structure. So we spend about the lowest on teacher salaries, at least, I think, is that the starting salaries? Those are starting salaries. Let's go to the next slide. And then if you look at our different salary structure, I compared the salary structure across these 10 different districts, and we're pretty good at the starting salary, but when you get into some of these things where you've had a lot of extra hours, we fall behind. And our teachers feel it, and it's painful, and they know, I mean, this isn't hidden information, they know that they are paid a little bit less than what teachers in other districts are getting paid. So there's a little bit of a mystery. Why are we paying, we're paying our teachers less, but we're spending the third most? Let's get into that mystery. We spend, on a per pupil basis, the second most. Only Salt Lake is more than us. And so we have to remember the second part of that is per pupil. And so let's go to the per pupil section. We have the third smallest per student-teacher ratio on the Wasatch Front. So that means we have a lot more teachers per student than comparative districts. Let's look at elementary schools. That's the next one. We are by far the smallest one in this area. We're like 3 less than Salt Lake and like 4 less than Ogden. And I think the DLI is a major factor in this. And so, and let's go to secondary schools. You know, our secondary schools are also small. And so, when our biggest expense is teacher pay, and we spend a lot more on teacher pay than almost any other district, but our teachers are getting paid a lot less, it makes you think. We have to make a decision. Are we going to keep things the way they are? Are we going to raise taxes to an uncomfortable level? Or are we going to make structural changes, like perhaps getting rid of DLI or doing something else that enables us to be more like our neighboring districts, so we can pay our teachers a little bit better. So that's issue 2. Issue 3, classified staff. Again, we talked about this. We have a hard time filling some of these positions. They say that the pay is a little bit too low. Why is this a problem? Next slide. This is where it gets a little bit complicated. I'm sorry about this terrible slide, but I went through and I looked at the 10 districts and I pretended that each one of them had our exact same budget. And I wanted to see where they spend more and where we spend more. And the negative things are where we are spending less than those districts, and the positive numbers are where we are spending more. And you'll notice it's things like instructional support, business costs, student service costs, operations. And so a lot of that was kind of confusing to me, and we talked about this a little bit earlier with Derek, but with accounting, you can kind of move things around, and there's a little bit of flexibility, so it's hard to compare apples to apples. So I organized it into 4 different categories. Let's go there. On instruction, and then support. This was any kind of support that we give. Necessary functions, and debt. And you can see that for the most part, we spend about as much on instruction, and then on support, we spend a lot more proportionally than the schools in other districts. And then we save money on doing things like transportation, and these are the necessary functions. Transportation, nutrition, things like that. And then debt, we have a little bit less debt. So let's go to the next slide. This is per pupil spending on classified employees. And you will notice that we have, that's per pupil classified staffing. You'll notice that we have a lot more classified staff than other districts. Now, this is something we discussed a little bit earlier. Derek mentioned it. Our Alpine is up there, and their number just doesn't make any sense. So I went to, on the next slide, I just eliminated Alpine to look at it. But we can still see we have still a really small number where we have a lot of teachers per pupil. And that's expensive. Again, we have a lot of staff. And I think we are about 23% more staff than average, and that adds up. The costs add up. And I know that every single one of those staff members, they are working hard. They're doing great work, but we have to keep that in mind as we decide how we should spend money and why our staff are paid a little bit less than average. That's a factor. Okay, the 4th issue, and this is administration costs. We did this last year. It was a topic that we went through, and this is it's a really small portion of our budget. So it kind of gets lost to the cracks. And there's also a lot of playing around in different districts. I think in my report last year, I showed how just with like 10 employees, who were definitely administration employees, they were like double the budget that they reported. But as I've been thinking over it in the last year, I think we need to use all the accounting tricks that those other districts are using and just bend over backwards. I think that Ogden said that they had seven employees in administration, which, it's just, it can't be. So I would encourage us to use all the tricks at our disposal, and then let's see where we are in comparison to those other districts, and then we can make a decision on what benefits we are getting from having our staffing. Because right now, our number isn't helping us, isn't giving us any information that's useful. So, I keep doing the takeaways before I get to the takeaway slide. Okay, let's go to the conclusion. I think our district is really well run. I think the results show for it. But we do have challenges, and paying our employees better is one of our big challenges. And so I think it's important to really know where we stand, know what issues we are facing and what options we have, and how other districts are doing it, and how they're meeting their payroll obligations. So that was the purpose of the report. If you found this fascinating, it's on Board Docs. You can get the whole 30-page report. And I'll also post a couple other places. So that's about it.
Thank you, Board Member Bryson. We're gonna miss those in the next few years.
You probably won't.
So, all right, Superintendent's report.
So this will be very fast. I have approved no travel in-state, out-of-state over the past 30 days. And the other thing I want to point out is something that's attached to Board Docs along the line of all the financial discussions that's been going on this evening. I included a letter from the State Office of Education, the State Board of Education, commending our finance department for the clean audit that was conducted, and this letter verifies that. And Derek, is there anything you want to add on that?
Just that it was great work by everybody involved, because to get a clean audit report that isn't just the accounting department, that it's all the financial secretaries across the district that are entering transactions and making sure that things are being done according to policy correctly. So I commend all of our employees in the district that have those financial capacities and the ability to make purchases, and along with the administrators too that have that ability. So thank you, and let's keep up the good work.
Thank you, Derek. I will just add that Devin Daly, who works directly under Derek, Devin is really the point person for making sure that if there are any anomalies that pop up throughout the year, she will get in touch with either the principal or the employee involved, may involve their supervisor at the district level in the event that there's something that seems to be chronic and needs to be corrected on a systemic basis. But because of Devin's work and many good people under Derek in the finance department, and also just the culture that has changed over the last several years at the school level in particular, and at the department level in the district. These are all contributing reasons why we've been doing well on our audits, and hope to continue to do so. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, we've come to the end of our agenda. So is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn the business meeting.
All right, thank you. Have a good evening.